Tony Gamble, Tony, Todd Samuelson,
How are you? Very well. Nice to meet you again.
Larry Pinkerton,
Tony, how are you?
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Melissa Christensen. All right, now, I don't know where Larry is, but he might show up here. You,
Right here.
right over here.
Tony, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. And, we're not under a hard time limit and keep things moving along. The process is set out by state statute that we need to go through. But we have a unique circumstance, that I think you're aware of. But we need to fill the seat that Jenny, because she moved, had to unfortunately give up. And we'll have the opportunity to do it again after January 1st, unfortunately. So thank you for understanding that. I think I'd like to start out, I know you wrote us a letter and gave us information for us to read through in terms of your interest in the board. Certainly, Rich, remember you were interested previously when we had an opening. So I think you just kind of, in your own words, kind of describe your interest in the becoming a board member and your outlook on the schools, or how we want to start it. Sure.
Well, I have been a Plymouth resident for a long time. I left long enough for my parents to move me out of town and make me graduate from Morgan Davis. Not too proud of that, but it is what it is. It's where I ended up.
Tony, we won't hold that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But the minute I could move back to Plymouth, I was here, and because Plymouth is my community, that's where I belong. And then we decided to raise I got married shortly after I graduated high school, and we decided to raise our children here in Plymouth and put that through the school system. And, we've had 3 children go through the school system, as I stated in my letter. Cody, who's 19, now a sophomore in college. Parker, who is a sophomore at high school currently. And Jaden, who is a 5th grader, but at the junior high. We have been through a lot with the school system, and we know we've seen a lot. And I have no negative qualms or any negative to say about the school system, because I think it's done us well and our family well. We've had our situations, but those situations have always been resolved, and usually in a positive situation that benefited both us as parents and our child and the school system at the same time. And I just want to be. My view of Plymouth Community Schools Corporation is just nothing but positives, and I want to be part of that. I don't, as I stated in my letter, I don't come in with a plan or an agenda. I'm somebody who I come in, and as I get to know what's going on, we'll make plans and see what needs to happen within the school system. But I don't come in with an agenda like this school needs to do this or this school needs to do that. I don't need to tear down that school. I don't have any of that. I think Plymouth Community School Corporation is good as it is, and I don't mean it can't get better, because Plymouth Community School Corporation I think always gets better, and I like to be part of that. So if that makes sense.
Well, thank you for that. Without challenging that you don't have an agenda, I mean, as you observe the school corporation and where we are and where education is and where we're headed, what do you think are things that we should be focusing on, or what are your ideas in that regard?
The one thing I've noticed is our teachers seem to be kind of getting younger a little bit. I mean, we're losing our veteran teachers. That's just one thing I've noticed. It's not like over the last year, it's been over a time period. And we're getting younger teachers in, and a different direction of teaching, a different style of teaching is what's coming into our system. Good or bad, I don't know. We haven't had any bad experiences with that, but you do see changes in the way we teach our children, and it's not that needs to change. I think it's a good thing. Change is always good. It's just a matter of how we focus on that change and make it work. So you see that. Where I was going with that, I apologize. I lost my train of thought. But I think that focus on our children. Really, that's really what it's all about. I mean, in the school system, school corporation, focusing on children, making them better, and this kind of outside, we got to educate them to be prepared for what's in our community, because we want these children to come back to our community. And sometimes we need to, I think education needs to be focused on what's going to keep them here in our community, because that's how we're going to grow Plymouth. If we're educating them and they're going off to do another job that's going to take them out of town, we don't want that. I mean, I think it's important to try to bring as many of our youth back to the community after college, so, and educating them in that way up to that point. And I think Plymouth does a good job with that currently.
What, you have kids in the school system now, one that's already in college. What do you think we do well as a school corporation?
A lot. I mean, just really.
Can you point to like what is
Sure.
the specific something? It doesn't have to be a lot of things.
One of the things I really like is I just lost the name of it.
It's okay, take your time.
What do you call it? It's not the it's the new school. Technology schools. Yes. We'll use my son as an example. And the reason why I think that's a great program is because Parker, who is the sophomore in high school currently, that has been a huge asset for him. Parker has Asperger's. So for him to be in an environment that forces him somewhat into working in group situations, I think is a great thing. And for that, to bring in the School of Inquiry and have that type of environment for children like that is a great benefit. Our son, I mean, in junior high, I probably couldn't have seen him doing what he does today, but he's part of the speech program now. He does a lot of things that a child with Asperger's normally would not even think about doing. He gets involved with groups, and the great thing about that is the teachers work with him in these particular groups to make sure he's doing a job that will fit him and be able to complete the project with his group. So what are we doing great? I think that's one aspect, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Well, Tony, being a person in business, which I'm glad to see that some business people step up, because for some unknown reason, a lot of business people don't care to be involved. I don't know if it's because decisions that have to be made affect whatever, I don't know, but with your background and your experience, I think you would definitely add to the board because of that experience and the ability to work with people. And of course, we try to do the best we can to do what's best for kids. That's number one priority. We certainly support our faculty and staff, and I think the fact that you have people working for you, I think you contribute to that aspect, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. I do have to clear the air real quick, though. I have sold my restaurant. I am no longer a business owner.
I didn't know that. Well, you still were a business owner.
Yeah, I did sell my restaurant, unfortunately. But it's only been 2 months, but I just started a new job this week, but it won't affect my ability to be here.
No.
Yeah.
Looks like you've had the opportunity to serve on a couple of boards.
Yes.
What do you define as good boardmanship? Well, specifically, or somewhat specifically around the school board, based on your experience.
Sure. Well, big thing is to be able to listen to the situation at hand and to be able to take everything in and really come together as a team to be able to make decisions and stuff. You got to listen to what people have to say. You got to make a decision as a group. And I'm not. Let me use Freedom Park Committee as an example. I lead that committee, and that has been a great asset to our community. I'm not a leader that takes credit for everything myself. I always give credit to everybody involved, because we didn't make it to where we're at today because of me. We made it because of a group of people. And to be a good boardsman, so to say, is to be that type of person. Whether you're a leader or you're the guy on the bottom of the pole, it doesn't matter. We're a team. We're only successful as a team, and I've always lived my restaurant life that way. From when I was a manager in a local restaurant to owning my own. we're successful as a team, and that's the only way you can be successful. You can't, no one person's gonna be great, so you gotta be great together. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you have questions that you'd like to ask us?
You know, I really, truly don't. You know, I don't necessarily get to the meetings, but I always try to follow up and read the, what's in the paper, or I'll go on and sometimes read the meeting minutes online. So I keep up with it for the most part. My wife wonders why I read the boring stuff sometimes. Well, boring to her, but to me, I like to know what's going on, you know? So I'm sorry, I don't think you guys are boring.
Well, you know, if you want to, you can watch it. It's taped.
Oh, I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we, but I try to stay up. I have no qualms with what the board has done in the past couple of years. You know, I hear people complain about the football field and the addition here, but I'm like, I'm all for it. You know, that's to me, that's us progressing forward. You know, if you stay the same all the time, then there's no progression, and you're just always going to be status quo, and we don't want to be status quo. Changing the football field data on, that's moving forward to me.
It's interesting you say that, because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty minor adjustment to our facilities, especially based, I mean, if you want to get people's attention, just start messing with the sports facilities, right?
Sure.
But, you know, I will tell you, the majority of our information or things that we ponder are really inside the buildings, what's going on in the classrooms, and so it's kind of hard to see what all of those things are in terms of, you mentioned, you know, school of inquiry. I mean, that goes back years, but there's a lot of thought that goes into that. Just from, you know, pre-K all the way through 12th grade, it's a process and a system that takes a lot of thought.
Yes.
So from that regard, I don't know, you know, time commitments, is that an issue? We meet once a month, but that's really a culmination of a lot of stuff that, information that's sent to us. We have great support of information that's coming out. So there's a lot of reading, those types of things.
Sure. Yeah, no, time commitment's not an issue at all. My current new job, I work till 5, maybe 6 at the latest. I'm able to schedule myself out if need be. So I'll be able to be here for meetings. That won't be an issue in any way, shape, or form. I've already had the conversation with them as well up front. I told them I was going to be here tonight, and there's potential. They had no issue with it. It's just in Warsaw, so I'm on the east side or west side of town, so it's a pretty quick drive. But yeah, to be able to read emails or do anything like that and stay caught up throughout the week or month to be prepared for that meeting, that won't be an issue either. I won't be walking in last minute trying to scoot it through notes to figure out what we're going to be talking about. That won't be. That's not me. I like to prepare.
Happens to us once in a while.
I'm sure it does.
The one last question I have, you know, it is a public position, obviously. So that means we're serving the public, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll get questions outside of meetings or phone calls or what have you. What would be your approach to receiving those kind of calls, and how would you try to assist somebody that has concerns or questions or needs something that contacts you directly?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to really listen to what the person has to say. To me, that's all. It's no different than a customer coming to me complaining in the restaurant. You really got to listen to what they have to say. And if I can't solve that problem at that particular moment, my response is going to be, well, let me take it to the board, we'll discuss it, or I'll go to whatever, we'll discuss it as a team, and we'll get back to you. If it's something that I can kind of help resolve, and I just need to make a phone call to a principal and say, hey, I just got this phone call, I don't know how you want to handle it. I mean, it just really depends on the type of call that it is. If it's just Johnny fell down in the playground and the principal didn't handle it properly, or teacher didn't handle it properly, I think that's something the principal can handle to begin with, and then come back to us if we have to. You know, so that's just things that it really just depends on the situation. Those, you know. Yeah.
You all have further questions, or if you have any questions for us? Or, good.
Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Well, Larry touched on it. That, you know, this is to have people step up and become they want to become part of the process. It's really appreciated, and appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
So.
I told my wife that had I known Jenny wasn't running next year, I would have definitely put my name on the ballot. I didn't know she wasn't. I felt bad after that. But
We didn't.
yeah, that's kind of too late.
Well, I'm not sure she did either.
Yeah, sure. So
It wasn't a master plan on her part. You know,
Right.
real estate transactions kind of, you never know.
exactly, so true. But I do appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate you considering me, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Well, actually, next meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be here.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you. Nice to see you too. Take care. Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate you. Take care. Good job. Okay.
Do you think they try to get a hold of her and see? He has contact her. Maybe they can send a note, I don't know.
That's just after granted.
All right, this is Robin Kupka, Samuelson,
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Todd.
Morrison Christensen.
I know her.
Larry, too.
Yeah,
Robin's my classmate from the class of '79.
Right, yes.
That's the best ever.
Then there's that 80 person, whatever.
You guys
Larry
have,
was our principal. Yes, I know.
That's right.
We broke him in.
Sure did.
I can say the same thing. We all survived that.
Yes,
Kind of
yes.
came out the other end.
Wasn't all bad, was it?
No.
We're just teasing.
I know.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for showing an interest. We'll have some questions, maybe you'll have some questions for us. Procedurally, Jenny had to step down. She moved away from the district, or not the district, but her particular district for the board, unfortunately. So, and also just the timing of it, in my statute, we need to act within a certain time frame of a replacement. And since nobody put their name on the ballot for that particular seat, we'll have to do it again in January. So it's kind of a unique set of circumstances, but that's what we're being advised we need to do. So that's what we're going to do. But really appreciate you showing an interest. Appreciate the letter of interest. Maybe just to start out from your perspective, why you're interested in the board or background, however. I don't want to hear about 1979. Do that on in your spare time, yeah. Or unless you've got some good stories.
No,
Yeah.
no good stories. No.
So go ahead.
Well, I just feel very fortunate. I've always felt blessed to go to school here. I thought it was a great opportunity. And when I got divorced, I brought my children back here to be raised because I thought they had a lot better opportunity here. Quentin has special needs, so I see things from the perspective of how he was treated, which was very, very well and accepted. And I just got to experience our speech program and then the school of inquiry and just, there's so many opportunities that Plymouth has that even schools in Indianapolis, I don't feel had the same caliber opportunities. So I would just like to help further that along for other people's children, possibly grandchildren someday. But though Grace wants to move away, so. Yeah.
Why don't you tell a little bit about your educational background, a little bit?
Oh, okay. Well, I graduated from Plymouth High School. I then went to IU. I got a degree in fashion merchandising. I went to work in retail for Danners, which sadly, they basically went under. I went to work for my dad in Florida in a restaurant because in school I had waitress and bartended. I found I liked it better than retail because I can make much more money in less time. So I stayed with that. Then I was a stay-at-home mom with Quentin and Grace until I got divorced. I went to work at Swan Lake and worked there for 3.5 years. And I'm the 4th general manager in the 3.5 years that I was gotten rid of, along with other people. And then I've worked for Lake City Bank. It'll be 10 years in February. So, and as I said, I wasn't born in Plymouth, but we came here like when I was 1.5.
Still doesn't count,
Whatever. I mean, Jessica Sandersons have been here forever. But, my parents have always been very involved with the community. As far as I can remember, we did things for the election. Dad ran for the change one time. They were involved in JCs and Rotary and, all the service groups. I'm in this committee for the elections. This is the first time I've been interested in the board, but with Quentin having special needs and being a single parent and working 2 jobs, I haven't always felt that I had time to do anything else, because I do try to be active in my church. But coming up on my 10-year anniversary, I will have an extra week of vacation, and my kids are now 18 and 20. So, Quentin can stay home even alone overnight one nights, especially since Mom and Bob were here. But I just feel that now I do have more time that I can do things.
Robin, being a Plymouth graduate and living and working in the community and having kids in the school, needless to say you're very familiar with Plymouth Community Schools.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any single thing that you would perceive that maybe we need to work towards or improve? Or, our philosophy has always been do what's best for kids and faculty and staff and so forth. Is there anything that we need to be looking at or working towards?
I think we just need to continue on the same path that we have been, because it seems like, like the speech program, is just award-winning. The band program is. Now we have the School of Inquiry, and it's gone down into even the elementary level. We very early on got the computers and the iPads and things like that for our students. So I really feel like we're always looking out for the best things for our students, and we're willing to try, even if the community's not happy about some other things. If we think it's best for our students, we're still willing to pursue them.
Thinking back over your children's educational experiences, what can you single out like one thing that you thought the school corporation did very well?
Well, I think the opportunities that Quentin had. I never felt like, he was bullied or anything like that. And I felt like I had a very good rapport with all his teachers and his aides and different people. I felt like I always knew what was going on with his education, and whenever any surprises, they always, kept me in the loop. So I knew what their goals and strategies, and they always made sure that that was something I was interested in too. And then, with Grace, she loved the School of Inquiry. She loved speech until she got older and things happened. But so I just felt blessed that they had these experiences and that helped shape them. But it was the community as a whole, because if kids aren't, as you should know, Todd, if kids aren't taught that kids that are different or have issues are just the same as you and I, they just need a little extra help, then they don't treat them that way. And I really feel good because I don't feel like Quentin was ever bullied. So
we could talk on that.
Yeah.
The, sounds like you might have more time, you know, there is a fair amount of time commitment involved. So that's good to hear. What about, how do you perceive or define what, you know, being a member of a board, or what is good board service? How do you be what are your, how do you prioritize or think about what it means to be a good board member for a school corporation?
Well, I guess if I make a commitment to do it, I plan on being at all the meetings on time. And if there's other things you need to attend, you know, to do my best to attend everything that you need to be involved with the community still, to be involved with the school. You know, to go to the different things. I like to go to the variety show and different things. I have sat in all the football games, but I always went to the basketball games that I wasn't working. Just to show that you're supporting the community and the schools.
It is a public position, obviously. So occasionally might get a phone call or somebody that has a question, concern. So if that were to happen, you get a call at home or somebody, how would you anticipate handling those types of situations?
Well, I guess it depends on what the policy is as far as discretion and whatever. I mean, I work in a bank. I know a lot of personal information about a lot of people that I can't disclose. So if it's something that, I mean, as I said, I don't know what your policy is. If your policy is that you basically don't talk to them and say, please bring it to the whole board, then that's what I would follow. But if it's something generic and you approve of people talking, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I still have my phone listed in the phone book. I don't believe in hiding. I'm not bothered by, and I also am not bothered by people not liking my opinion. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. And as long as they listen to my view, I'm more than happy to listen to theirs.
You haven't read our whole policy manual? Only like 1,000 pages.
Robin, is there anything that you want to ask of us?
Well, I guess I just came into this knowing that Melissa, you know, enjoys participating, even though I honestly didn't know exactly what it entailed, other than, is it a monthly meeting and then just other little functions, or, I mean, or do you go to seminars?
We do go to seminars. It's a monthly meeting, but sometimes we're in communication all the time with the superintendents. They keep us apprised of anything going on. But the time can be, I mean, it's usually, our meetings are the first Tuesday of every month. And sometimes they can last pretty long. Sometimes they're short, but not, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, there's a lot you have to discuss. Yeah, I mean, I know that when Bob was on the park board, he would get a lot of visits from different people for the park, I mean, so, right, so, I mean, as I said, with my kids being grown now, I feel like I have more time to get it, so, and I don't really have that much of a social life. So. Does that really matter?
I mean, just to add a little bit to Melissa's, as far as, I mean, we are members of the state society, so there is a state conference that we try to attend, and I don't know that we try to think that we have all the answers or all the ideas. Get out and talk to other people or hear what's going on in the educational community, if you will.
And learn.
Pay attention to what our friends in Indianapolis, the legislature, is doing or not doing at times. That is going to impact us either, you know, with curriculum changes or financial changes, or sometimes it's hard to predict. So we try to anticipate those types of things and position ourselves accordingly, but they're making it more difficult to anticipate sometimes. There are regional meetings of that type of group that we attend. So those are, and even monthly meetings, sounds like, well, 12 times. We'll have budget meetings during the summer.
Sometimes in regular sessions.
We're dealing with about a $34 million budget. And so, that's typically the way governments work. The budget is done during the summer for the rest of the year and then the ensuing year. So there's a lot of, obviously all within the blue sky or open door law, a lot of communications that come out of the superintendent's office or the administration, or if we have questions, certainly they'll respond to those as well. So. Not to put you on the spot, Larry, but did you have any questions?
I apologize, I just got back from Midway Airport picking our son up, so.
Oh, sorry about that. Just want to make sure we didn't get the times mixed up. But good. Any other questions for Robin?
No? No?
Thank you for your interest.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Took me longer than I thought.
Yes, go to Midway.
Yeah.
At least there was only midway.
That's the worst.
Oh, well, it's not as bad as
Better
last
than
year.
no hair.
Well, Chicago is if you get on the
Chicago's bad.
There's not a good way to get there at this point.
I didn't go through Wrigleyville, so.
They're all in Cleveland.
I imagine there's some in Chicago still. You can still go to the game, did you see the prices?
Yeah, right. Are you gonna buy my ticket?
I saw like a standing room only was about
This is,
$1,000.
Carlton?
Hi, nice to meet you. Melissa.
My couch looks like.
Yes. You can see it better.
I'm tired.
Larry Holloway.
Well, thank you for the trick share.
Good icebreaker.
That's the first test. We just see how people react.
Thanks, I do my share all the time at work.
So thank you for your letter. Thank you for your interest. We had, Jenny had to step down. She moved, it was out of the district that she serves. So timing is interesting. We, by statute, have to fill the seat within a 30-day process. And then since nobody actually signed up or registered for that seat in the election, we'll have the opportunity to do this again. And that's regardless of how somebody does or doesn't fit in or serve on the board. It's just what we have to do. So thank you for your interest. I know we've all had a chance to review your letter, but just like to start out, maybe kind of take us behind this, or however you want to give your background or why you're interested in serving on the board.
Sure. I'm a 2002 graduate of Plymouth High School. My husband works here, full disclosure, with the maintenance department. He graduated in 2000 or 2001, I can't remember. He's older than me though. I have a daughter that started kindergarten this year at Webster Elementary, and I have a 3-year-old that's in preschool at his small wonders here in Plymouth as well. I played on almost every sport imaginable through elementary school through high school. Went on to continue my education at Ball State. Went in as gung-ho as could be about architecture, and then realized that maybe they didn't have it all figured out, which I am glad that I took the path that I did. I wanted a minoring in construction management, which gave me a job right out of high school or out of college. My time at Ball State, I spent as the vice president and president of the club soccer team. So during that time, we had to schedule games with other colleges around Cincinnati and even over in Illinois. I had to maintain a budget. I had to run practices all for it. Well, I was 2 years I was president. I was 1 year vice president. 1 year just participant. Then, like I said, after that, I graduated college and got a job at Midwest Tile in Mishawaka. I have been in there for over 10 years now. Love my job, love the people I work with, and love learning stuff. hard to make a kid in school. Germs. I love learning new stuff. I'd like to be on the board because I like the opportunity to give back to the community, and it's a place that helped shape who I am today.
Brooke, being a Plymouth graduate and being involved in many activities and your kids going into Plymouth schools, is there anything that you perceive that maybe we should be doing better or differently?
The only thing that I was concerned about when I was choosing what school to put Chloe in was I noticed that there was a little bit higher teacher turnover at Washington Discovery Academy. I don't know if that's because it's not really new to us, but I don't know how much of that is getting taught at the college level. That is the only thing that I think that would need to be worked on a little better. I don't know if it would require a mentoring with newer teachers versus or with an experienced teacher, so that way they stay a little bit longer. That is the only thing I think that we could really concentrate on a little bit more.
Is that where your kids?
I put her at Webster.
Oh, okay.
Actually, her kindergarten teacher is my second grade teacher.
Oh,
So, felt very comfortable with that.
yeah, good. Thank you.
Sir.
Is there anything that you perceive that Plymouth Schools does well?
Absolutely. You stay well ahead of the curve as far as technological advances. The 1-to-1 computer ratio, the teacher ratio to students very well as too. I also like the Widener School of Inquiry. I would like to see that maybe expand to more kids, have the opportunity to get in there a little bit more. Because, as they say, the new study where millennials go and graduate, they don't know how to cook, or they don't know how to do their own laundry, and stuff like that, getting them ready for kids who aren't going to go to college, get them ready for the real world. Yes, ma'am?
As far as your qualifications and strengths, what do you bring to the board?
That's a good question. I was asking myself that too. I was very trying to over-prepare myself. I am good at budgets. The job I hold right now, I'm an estimator and a project manager. So we bid on, for example, we bid on this to different contractors, the additions and everything. If we were to get it, were to have gotten it, I'm sorry. Once we get what we're at, that's our budget. Now, granted, we do have profit built in there, but I also know that I can buy stuff out and I can get a bigger profit, which looks a lot better. All their qualifications, just me. I am who I am. I'm pretty easygoing. Get along with everybody. I can talk to everybody. We deal with schools, finishes, dealing with them all the time. So I can go between talking to a foreman on site to superintendent of schools and stuff like that. I can go from each person. Otherwise, it's just me.
I don't know if you've had an opportunity to serve on a board of any type in the past, or if so, what was that experience? And if not, what is how do you kind of see being a member of the board in terms of how to approach that?
The only board I've served on as an adult was I served as a deacon at my church here in town, and we were tasked with bringing new people in and getting money together for scholarship funds, stuff of that nature. Otherwise, the only board I went back to was back in college. So we would get all the presidents of different clubs. So there was club soccer for girls and boys, and different things like that. We would go. Club soccer was there for us for architecture was the main major. And there was no way I could play any sport, softball, soccer, nothing. So that was the only other board that I had served on. What was the second part? I got too involved. What was the second
Oh,
question?
I'm sorry, that was for me. Just how do you see board membership, or what makes a good board member?
I think listening is a big part. Knowing when to talk and when not to talk. Excuse me. Obviously, being a team-oriented person, collaborating with others and coming out with the best outcome for the kids, teachers alike.
Kind of a follow-up question. I've been on boards, I think the difference I see, or one of the differences, this is a public entity, so we're dealing with other people's money. And obviously dealing with a very treasured commodity, which are the kids and the kids of our community. So from that perspective, oftentimes we may get questions or contact outside of board meetings of folks that may have concerns. So if that were to happen, how would you anticipate handling those types of situations?
I think probably like everybody who you ask questions to, they'll sit and they'll listen. With my job, we are trained to go through the chain of command. We can't jump from, whoever's asking the question to the owner. We go through the contractor, who then goes through the architect, who then will get in touch with the owner. I would do the same thing. I would certainly listen respectfully as I could. And then if there's something that I can do to help, I would, but I would still push them towards who they would need to contact first before bringing it into a bigger deal than it might need to be.
Are there any questions that you have for us?
No.
No?
Oh man. I full disclosure. I didn't want to be too much of a nerd, but I over prepare for a lot of stuff. I was researching different questions that you might ask, so I didn't come in here like scratching my head. So I watched meetings, and yes, they were lovely. Otherwise, the meetings, they're entertaining.
I think it's paid per view now, right?
Yeah.
I think so. YouTube is quite the channel. It's quite the channel. I was over prepared, I think, which I like to be. I like to research everything fully and then go in knowing what I'm getting myself into, or could be getting myself into.
Being a former student and now a parent of a student in the corporation, talking with others in the community, what do you see maybe as our greatest challenge in the next 10 years or so?
I still think it's retaining your teachers. I've heard Mrs. Carter speak at almost every meeting that is online. We just keep having too much turnover, and I don't know if it's seeing what we need to do to give them an incentive to stay a little bit longer, or if it's more training in the project-based learning, or again, if we need to do a mentoring between someone who's been here 10, 20 years, someone who's been here 2 months and hasn't even seen a classroom. Otherwise, I think what you're doing is pretty good. My brother teaches down at Muncie Central. My sister-in-law teaches at Anderson, and they constantly fight for money. They have to do their own supplies. She does the donors choose thing, where she gets money for a projector to use or books for them to use. With Muncie Central, Mason, there's zero transparency there. There's conflict constantly between superintendent and the school board, which is a good thing. Ms. Shivier's always at the meetings when they can be. That is one of the best things I think that could happen. Plus, it's online for everyone to view, so if you don't have time to come here instead.
Other questions?
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
April is out here, would you like to finish up with her, and then we can
Sure. Don't make her wait. I don't know if you got about 6 to fill out.
I apologize for being late.
We were worried about you.
No, don't be.
There were 6 that we got sent to us, but 2 before.
Where do you want me to go? Okay, I get the hot seat.
April, this is Larry Holloway
April,
Nice to
pleasure
meet
to
you.
meet you.
You too.
and Tom Samuelson.
Hi Todd, how are you? Nice to meet you. Melissa Christensen.
And Larry Bickler.
Nice to meet you. All right.
Relax, right?
Yeah, well, I'm good. Just got off work, so. I'm ready to-
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Sure. The procedurally, we have a seat to fill. Because of the timing, and by statute, we have to fill the seat within a certain time frame, so that's what we're doing. And given that that seat was up for election, nobody signed up to run for that seat, other than the person that moved out of the district. We'll need to do it again after the first of the year, so it's not a reflection of who fills it now, that's just statutorily what we need to do. So with that being said, thank you for your interest in making time to come in and talk with us this evening. The information that you sent in advance of the letter was very helpful in terms of kind of understanding why you're interested. But before we have any questions, maybe just take us behind the letter or your own words why you're interested in the board or your background and where you want to start.
Yeah. I have 5 biological children. I've been living in Plymouth community for 12 years, so I'm not originally from here. I moved here. I commuted here prior. I worked at Miller's Mary Manor, so some of you may be familiar with the nursing and rehab center. I've been there 16 years. I started in a position that was kind of not the position that I originally wanted, but I thought if I'm going to move forward and do the things I want to do, I have to start somewhere. So I started in a smaller position. I ended up getting, in a year and a half, I got a promotion, and that promotion brought me to Plymouth. So I started commuting back and forth. Originally I lived in Knox, so big town Knox. So I didn't like the drive. I didn't like the time change, those sorts of things. So I decided that we were going to make Plymouth our home, and we moved here. So as I've been at Miller's, I've kind of met a lot of community people. I really didn't want to get involved right away in anything, any boards or nothing like that. I kind of just sat back for a little bit and thought about what I wanted to do. So through the course of some advancements through work, I had an opportunity to take part in Leadership Marshall County. So I don't know if any of you have been part of that program. I absolutely loved it. I thought at first it was going to be like the most boring thing ever. And then after the first class at Culver Academies, I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to enjoy this. And it gave me an opportunity to really get to know Plymouth and really get to know different businesses and different ways that we do things in this community. So that was kind of cool. I learned a lot. So through that course, I was asked to be a part of Prevent Child Abuse Marshall County, which is a new council that just started last October. So we're coming up on a year. And I was asked to take the president's position for that organization, and I did. And it was the first, really, actually the second board that I've served on. So it was really an eye-opener for me, having gone through Leadership Marshall County, having seen a lot of the things and heard a lot of the things that I learned through that time and through our project. We actually did a project through Blessings on a Backpack, and I had an opportunity to meet Jim Phillips and work with him pretty closely. And it was a good experience for us, and I thought, I really like to work in an environment where we're dealing with children. So I took the position as president for Marshall County Prevent Child Abuse, and it's been a blast. I've been president just a short time. I think we're going on our second month. Prior to that, I served as the secretary. And it's been fun. You know, we're working on some different campaigns. I've been able to work closely with DCS and doing, you know, some things like that. I've made some friends through that department. But that's kind of where I'm serving now. Like I said, I have 5 children, 2 stepchildren, 2's in college now. So I range
You're
from
making me
high
tired
school,
here.
high school to elementary. So I have my littlest daughter at Webster. And I absolutely love the fact that, you know, they're going through school and they're learning so much. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I actually serve on another board. We enjoy camping. So we have, if you consider camping in a fifth wheel with air conditioning, we camp out at Yogi. And so I was asked to actually serve on the board through that organization. At first I said no because it was kind of like a lot of drama. But then I thought, you know what, my belief is you be part of, you know, the solution, not part of the problem. So I gave in, and that's been a lot of fun too. So I've been serving on that board this past summer, and so that's what I do with my time. Besides run around and chase my kids.
April, since you've had several kids in school in Plymouth, and you've certainly been to activities and events and so forth and so on, and been involved in parent-teacher conferences and curriculum and everything. Is there anything that you perceive that maybe we need to be looking at, or we could do better, or, you know, our goal and our bottom line is what's best for kids and factoring that and so forth. And I'm just curious to know if there's anything that you've observed.
I haven't observed anything personally. I think that my children being in this community, in this school, they've been very successful. Of course, as a parent, you have challenges with your children in terms of how they're able to grow, how they're able to learn. Being a mom of that many children, I know that I have children who are very successful in terms of like learning and doing those extracurricular activities. And then I have some that kind of just sit back and be like, I'm good, you know. So, no, when I meet the teachers, when I take, you know, go to the schools and meet the teachers, I see that my kids, there are weaknesses. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our strengths. So I take that information in, and I help it to make me a better parent. I help it to educate my children better. And I take the opportunity to accept the extra help that they offer the kids, you know, the tutoring and those type of things. So I have never really, I don't think I've personally observed anything that I felt was crucial that needed to be addressed or needed to be fixed. No, I think I think that Plymouth Community Schools really do their best, and they put their best foot forward to make sure that things go smoothly. So, you're welcome.
Is there anything that you can put your finger on that you think we do exceptionally well in Plymouth schools?
The latest thing I think that really struck home for me, and it was because I have children at Plymouth High School, is the suicide. And to me, because I do work in social services and I do work in that field, I tend to feel a lot emotional about those kind of things, especially when my kids come home and I have to explain to them why, you know, people take those paths. And it's very hard for me, just not only in my profession, but as a mom, to explain to my kids why other students may choose to go down that road. And just with the interventions that the school provides, the help that is there, that these students, it's not just the day after or the week after. It's anytime that student needs help or they're feeling in distress or like things are hopeless, you know, you guys are there for them. The faculty is there for them and willing to reach out and get them the help that they need. So that's what I appreciate most, is it's not a show. It's care, it's compassion, and I think that's what our children need. I mean, life is tough. You know, it's very hard for our kids. So, but that is something most recent. I mean, I can give you a lot of examples of good things that I think we do, but that's one thing that really stands out to me. Thanks. You're welcome.
How's Ricky doing?
Ricky is doing awesome.
There you go.
I'm so
Former
proud of
tennis
him.
player. Sorry.
Yeah, tennis player, he is at the University of Kentucky.
Fantastic.
Yes, and he is doing well. He just started working at Starbucks, because I'm like, you know what, you can go home for money, I'll give it to you, but you're gonna work. So he's working, he's going to school to be a cardiologist,
Fantastic.
and he is awesome.
As far as what do you think you would bring as far as strengths to the board?
I tend to not be a negative Nelly. I work in a field where there's a lot of negative Nellies. I work in healthcare. I'm going back to school to become a nurse. So right now I'm going through some classes. I've been through social service classes. So I've kind of done a lot of different things that teach me, again, how to be part of a solution and not be a problem. There's a lot of problems. People can bring a lot of problems to the table. However, I think that one of my strengths is I'm a good listener, and I'm not one to just judge so quickly. You know, I kind of sit back and I think about things, and I try to keep an open mind in how things, you know, I try to think both sides of the fence. I think that's one of the things that is a strength for me. I deal with a lot of patients in our community, a lot of community members, you know, who have aged over the years, who have had businesses, and I take a lot of pride in the fact that, you know, they can confide in me. Of course, everything is confidential, and, you know, I'm not only just an employee for Miller's, but I become our clients' friends, you know, our residents' friends, so they can call on me if they need something, even when they're back home. And so I think that, you know, that says a lot about a person if, you know, you can confide in them, and they're a team player, and I'm a team player. I've been at Miller's a long time, and, you know, I've worked my way up to prove that I'm a team player, and that, you know, I can get along very well with others, so.
You've been part of many boards, obviously. What makes a good board member? Well, I'll leave it there. What do you think makes a good board member?
What I think a good board member is someone who, I want to say is not quick to judge, but someone who can sit back and kind of, I know that my strengths might be different than yours, so if someone else wants to take the lead, I'm okay with that, you know, and I think that I can give advice from my experience. I don't think that I'm going to be talking about something that I clearly have never dealt with before. It's, you know, I know my place, and so I think to be a good board member, you have to be, you know, like, again, a good listener, trustworthy, someone who's not so quick to judge and think negative. You know, I'm a positive person. I see the glass half full. So I think that's the key to being successful as a board, is working together.
Maybe as a follow-up question, either in other experiences that you've had or anticipation of, a difference, and this is a public entity, public board, everything that we do is in the public. But oftentimes, in our get home, we get a phone call, or at some event, somebody may pull you aside with a concern or a question or an observation. How do you anticipate, or how would you expect to handle those types of things?
Well, unfortunately, I've had that happen quite a bit over the summer on the other boards that I serve. At first, it was a little difficult because your faith is in those that you serve with. And when I say that is, when I'm on a board, those members that are on the board with me, that's who I'm putting my faith in. I think that a lot of people from the community say, oh, you serve on that board, I got to tell you about this, you know. I've had that happen quite often. And what I would say if someone came to me with a problem that happened at any school is, you know what, I will take that into consideration. I will address that with the board, and we will handle it the best way possible. And I think everybody deserves an answer. You know, if they have a question and they have a legitimate concern, they're going to reach out. You're not going to reach out to me after a PTO meeting or in a cafeteria somewhere. Show up, make your presence known, and let us all work it out together. It's not for me to make an individual decision on anything, honestly. So I wouldn't make a decision. I wouldn't even give an opinion. It would be, you know, show up, this is where you can be, and let's address that concern with everyone. Because I don't like to be pushed in a corner like that, and I don't like to feel like, you know, somebody wants me to say something. And I don't like it. So I don't put myself in that place.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't. I was thinking on the way here, what can I ask them? But I really don't have any. I really don't have any questions. I really don't have any questions. So, I guess I could ask you how long you've been serving on the board. That's kind of interesting.
This is my 20th year.
Oh wow,
Yeah. Not a bad penny.
you're the bad penny. Do they think you're the bad penny? That's the
Yeah, that's
question.
it. I believe perhaps, yeah, but, 20 years.
Okay, wow. Well, thank you.
8 years.
I'm in my 10th.
I lost track.
So you're really the bad penny.
He's in between him and me, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think he's in between you
I
and me.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But, procedurally, I mentioned that or started out, but being elected to the board or appointed as a 4-year term. We meet monthly. We try to use technology as far as getting information out in advance of meetings, communication from the superintendent's office or administration. Obviously, we get a public entity when there's public blue sky laws or open door laws, so all of anything that we decide or consider is done in a public forum. But as far as information being sent out in advance of meetings so that people have a chance to prepare, review dockets, those types of things. So a lot of reading, preparation, so. During the summer months, we're dealing with the budget. Our budget's 30 to 34 million, something like that. So yeah, there's a lot at stake, but we all take it pretty seriously.
Well, it definitely seems like it's a lot to learn, but I'm in for the challenge. I do want to be a part of, the community and however I can be. So again, I start out small and work my way up. So.
Yeah, well, the reason I've lost track is this is a former student of mine, this is a former student of mine, and that's a former teacher of mine. So.
Wow. I would lose track too.
Yeah.
We're kind of surprised we made it through as well.
With him?
That's the reason I retired early.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity of having me.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. So.
Thank you. And we'll be making a decision here very soon.
All right, great. All right.
Thank you.
I wasn't so bad. I was sweating on the way here. I'm like, I just love this. You're not very scary. No, you're not. All right, thank you. You too.
Now what are we supposed to do?